All rise and stand. This is a sovereign, living, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American court action. I am sovereign, living justice, Pauline Denise Ritchie. My free chosen sovereign appellation is Light Tajiri Bay. Both are in capitis diminution nolo, in red ink, in proprio personas cum juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. All Moors are the original, indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites and Canaanites. Our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our credit, and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the people who are the original indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient empire state for Morocco. We're the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government. We are Washington, ancient Washington District 4, Columbia. We are the Universal Moorish American Consulate and the Article 3 Moorish American Consular Court. Today, we are executing and exercising the law by our sovereign capacity, which is the original indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient Article 3 living United States District 4, Columbia Court. And we are the sovereign fiduciaries, receivers, secured creditors, possessors, executors, trustees, ministers, beneficiaries in this cause. Just one moment, please. In this cause for action, we are peace, we are one nation, we are one state, one empire, and one God. We hereby accept our sovereign ascension. We issue a federal and state creditors' bill for possession against all judgment debtors and exercise all sovereign rights at this time and at all courts and at all points in time, nunc pro tunc. Islam. Okay, let me get a grasp on the chat. Islam. So with that being said, I need to make a disclaimer before we start our topic for today. And the disclaimer, and it's actually just a suggestion, it's an admonition. It's not really a disclaimer. It's a suggestion. It is an admonition because you can't tell sovereigns what to do, but you can make suggestions. And it's up to the sovereigns to take the suggestion or leave the suggestion. I would ask, and this is actually even a request, I would ask that as we go into this subject matter that we're going into, that you please, and that we all please, leave our programming out, or if thoughts come to your mind as we're having this discussion and this presentment is going forth, if thoughts come to your mind that cause you discomfort or cognitive dissonance, if you would set the cognitive dissonance aside and just hold off for a minute and just hear, and then once the presentment is made, if you would please, any questions, comments, wisdom, because you all are this is a very wise Congress, a very wise assembly. And I know that we are ready for this presentment. I know that we are, because for some it's going to be like, why is she even making that, that suggestion beforehand? But for others, I know that a few others, it may cause some cognitive dissonance. If it does, just look in the law at the word sovereign and see that we have the authority, and then look at our fiduciary documents and know that we have the authority to say and do everything that we're saying and doing today. So with that being said, first, this is all leading up to And it's all part of our subject matter for today. So the ultimate hierarchy, because we don't have hierarchies where Moors are concerned. We are our own hierarchy. We don't have any leaders because we all lead. And so the things that we place on the public record, Moors have the authority to do the research on what we put forth and then choose and decide however they choose to decide. And no choice ever cuts us out of our nation because it's a blood covenant that we have with each other. And so our ultimate hierarchy is first the sovereign God that we are. We are all the sovereign God. All Moors are. Slightly beneath the sovereign gods that we are is something that we possess, which is the creditor status. The creditor is the people, all of us together in this dimension. Okay? And we know the people are the original indigenous, sovereign, ancient Al-Moroccan people, the Moorish American. And then below the creditor is our person whom we, the natural person whom we command. So I meant to put some things on the paper. So the topic is no more looking in the funny mirror, because over this time period, just ever since we thought we pretended to go to sleep. Let me put it that way, because we were just pretending. Over this time period, it's like we've been looking in a mirror and we didn't look at ourselves. So everything that we saw was a mirror image of the truth. It wasn't the truth. It was subrogation, hypothecation, and lies. And since that time period, and the waking up period has happened, and we are awake, and now we're knowing that we've been looking in a funny mirror. And by funny mirror, we're talking about, for example, this is just one of many examples, the all caps name. The all caps name, as presented by the dead, is a dead corpse entity. It's a dead entity. It's a dead corpse entity. The all caps name, as presented by the Moors, is a natural person. It's a person, because they say, and I won't say they say, I will point to the source. The source of the writing style manual, all writing style, especially the old writing style manuals, clearly state that any word in all capital letters is either a U.S. vessel, a person, or a corporation. A U.S. vessel, a person, or a corporation. Now, when you say U.S. vessel, a person, or a corporation, then you must qualify. What type of person is it? What type of corporation is it? And what type of and which U.S. vessel it is? What type of U.S. vessel we're talking about? We know that we are the original of all. We're the original United States because we were the States United long before. We know that anything that we see out there in terms of structures, especially commercial structures, started with us. Okay? So the foreigners did not invent corporations. They didn't invent persons. They didn't invent bodies. They didn't invent any of that. It started with us. We originated it, and then they hypothecated and subrogated it, and presented it as a dead entity. So, with that being said, we're not looking in the funny mirror anymore, and we know that over the last few weeks and months, we have been going ahead and putting on the public record that the United States Corporation Company, the dead one as presented by the dead, is bankrupt. And we've been doing bankruptcy proceedings and proclamations on the public record. And we've also been moving into the liquidation process. So what we want to do today is introduce everything in that manner. Introduce the liquidation process and just talk about how we got here. And then we're going to introduce, and not introduce because we're just affirming what we've already known. So with that being said, what I do want to do is I want to if I could get someone to pull up the word corpse, corpse, in their dictionary. And I would actually like for all of you who have a dictionary nearby to pull up the word corpse in your dictionary. Take a moment, please, and pull up the word COR, and I'll go ahead and put it on the screen, CORPSE. And some, you may think you know that what this means. You may think this is elementary, but it's really not elementary. It is something we need to pay close attention to, because we have always known and stated that there's two sides to every story. That's number one. And number two, all of the things that were put up in front of us as scarecrows, we need to take a look at it. Okay? Please pull up the word corpse. And then for those who can put it in the chat, put it in the chat. For those who don't have a dictionary, go ahead and we will take a look at it. We'll take a look at that, because it's important that we see. And no, we're not corpses. No, we are not corpses. Let's see. Please take a moment and look the word up. And then I'll pull up my definition on the screen shortly. Just one moment. Okay. And please put the whole definition there, because we want to talk about that. And make sure when you pull up the word that you pull it up in an older dictionary, because that's going to help with what we're saying, with what we're stating. Islam. Okay. I'm going to put this on the screen, and you should be able to see it, but I want to put it on the document as well. Okay. So now in the chat, I'll just read what we have here in the chat. Unless you all want to read it, let me whoever put it in the chat, if you don't mind reading it. If you mind, I'll read it. Let me open things up here. Okay, so someone put it in the chat. If you want to go ahead and read what you put in the chat, if you choose to read it. If you don't want to read it, someone else can read it.
Islam.
Islam Empress.
Shasha Agbe. I put in a couple of them, and the first one that came up, Middle English, denoting the living body of a person or animal. Alteration of cors by association with Latin corpus, a change which also took place in French. Old French corps became corpse. The P was originally silent. As in French, the final E was rare before the 19th century, but now distinguishes corpse from corpse.
Yes, Islam.
Interesting. There's another one, but that one, I didn't go any further when I saw that. It was like...
Because you know, Empress, because that's our point. That's really our point. And the ancestors knew. That's our point. That is the point. The point is that there's more than one type of corpse, which I never knew that until I started doing research this week. And these are just side notes setting up for what we're talking about.
I mean, it's so interesting because, as you say, sorry, I interrupted.
Yes, go ahead. No, go ahead, Empress.
You know, even as it describes it there, and immediately I see the two, because a corpse in English, CORPS, is different from a corpse, CORPSE, in English. Yeah. You know, a corpse is a group of, I think it's sort of a military, you know, a grouping.
It is a military group.
And then, of course, there's the corpse. But in the sound of it, and where, you know, where I have lived, in a sense, and it's not that I don't know the other one and don't hear it, but because it's that one always has to be contextual, I suppose. But it's just, I mean, when I saw that, and I went to etymology beyond that because I wanted to get the date, because I understand the older. But it was just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Yes. I yield. Just.
And I put what she put in the chat, I put it on the screen. as well. So what is my point in bringing this up? Let's read the rest of them because we want to get the whole story. We want to get the whole story. Go ahead, Empress Shasha. You put another one in there also. I'm glad you put that one in there too, but you put another one in there too.
Yes, I did, and that one I decided I needed to go further, even though the first one was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So this is from Etymology Online, and it's court, noun, late 13th century, cors, body, from Old French, cors, body, person, court, life, 9th century.
Yeah.
From Latin, corpus, body.
Yeah.
From Proto-Indo-European root, crep, body, form, appearance. Did you want to interject or shall I?
No, go ahead, Empress.
Oh, okay. The order of appearance of senses in English is dead body, 13th century, live body, 14th century. It also meant body of citizens, and that's where I would even see corps, C-O-R-P-S, 15th century, band of knights, mid-15th century, paralleling the sense evolution in French that yielded the doublet corps, and the P is silent, so even though it's in the corps. French restored the Latin P in 14th century, and English followed in the 15th century. But the pronunciation remained corps at first, and perhaps remains so with some speakers. Yes. And corps persisted as a parallel spelling after the P began to be sounded 16th century in English. Corps became archaic or poetic only. The terminal E was rare before 19th century. Corpse candle, candle used at ceremonial watchings of a corpse before burial, is attested from 1690.
Islam.
Wow.
Islam. Did you know that a corpse could be living too?
It is living. I mean, first and foremost, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. When we created everything that we created, because we don't die. Right. We don't die. And everything that we create is alive always first. And then when it was taken by the foreigners and that dead entity, anything put forth by the dead entity is dead. I don't care if they say this is alive, it's not, it's dead. And for us, everything is alive, is living. So I wanted to bring that forth because because we're going to talk about, I'm going to introduce the part that may give some cognitive dissonance. We're trying our best right now to temper the cognitive dissonance so that it won't be there. And for those and we know by our research is how we deal with programming. We just research and keep researching, and then we demonstrate. So we know that they did not come up with anything. Everything started with us, and everything ends with us. We are the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. And then there never was a time when we were not. That which has a beginning has an end, and we don't have an end. So that's why the word corpse and the word death and all of that had to have another meaning when it comes to us, so that when we wake up, we would apply the proper meaning to it, because there's no such thing as an end to the heirs. We are eternal. Having said that, thank you, Empress Shasha. I appreciate that. I believe someone else put something. A body of a vessel that rusted or rusting. Sheikh Klein Bay. Hopefully that's actually Sheikh Klein Bay and not a hybrid pretending to be. But it says body of a vessel which is another word for vessel or a veshile, that rusted or rusting or turned red. Because rust means red, so when you think about Russia, think red. Okay. And that's why it appears that they're doing the things that they're doing in support of the heirs. Russia means red. And they also call themselves Ruskies or reddish, like Jewish, sort of Jews, but not really, that kind of thing. And we're not trying to offend anybody. It's just etymologically what that is. Islam Empress.
That the Rusty, the Ruski, and all of those. I'm seeing now Harriet Tubman, and I put this in inverted commas, but purportedly her name was Ross. And Ross and Ruski and I mean, it's all the same.
Yep.
You know, I just had to put that forth because that's what immediately came to mind there.
Yeah, Ross. So for example, the name like Betsy Ross, that was originally spelled Rahs or Rahz.
You just again Ross. Now that's considered a bad word by the colonizer, by the but it's a very powerful word, and there you just said Ross. That's what you just said.
Yeah. Rah.
Yeah, Ross.
And we know that Amun Ra is actually, and this is not going to sit well either, but it is true. Amun Ra is an empress, a grand empress, who was one of the final empresses before we left the Grand Canyon and came out here. So, Justice Malik Akil Bey put corpse equals body, person, corpse, or life. That's what he got from his dictionary. And then Justice Sheikh Lionel says the remain of something discarded or defunct. That is correct. Discarded or defunct. Defunct is a financial word. It actually means insolvent. The remains of something insolvent. Because again, we're talking about corporations and the difference between a living corporation and a dead corporation. And we're still introducing what we're placing on the table today. Corpse. Empress Rima put the dead body of a human being, and that's from
That's a 4th edition Black's Law Dictionary.
Islam. Is it the one online, or is it or it's probably the one online and not one that you're holding in your hand?
Correct. Yeah, it is not one that I'm holding in my hand. It's an online version.
Yeah, the one online is, it's been edited a little bit. I use that one too occasionally, but they took some words you won't even find in that one. But we're not discounting the book. We're just saying that it's edited. Islam. So they edited out the part about a corpse actually being a living body also when created by us. And I will say this, being able to speak life into a dead zombie and have that zombie come to life and start doing things is evidence of what I'm saying. A fake judge can be a corpse, or is a corpse actually. But when we start speaking and we say cast certain spells, that corpse will get up and start doing things and running around and writing things, signing things, saying things, etc. So that's still a dead corpse when it's doing that, still dead. But then when you say all rise and stand, then you got life there. All rise and stand is life. And then they start doing as commanded. and they're not even a judge anymore. They're a servant. And they weren't a judge to begin with, which was the problem. Okay? So now let's also, now keeping that in mind, if someone could please get a dictionary and look up the word corporation. And we put our definition of corpse here on the screen as well. It says, the first one, which is the most recent, says a dead body, usually of a person. And again, we're people. We're not persons, but we own persons. Pauline Ritchie in all capital letters is the person that I own. That's mine. I created her. Number 2 is a body, living or dead. And that OBS stands for obsolete. That means that they used to say it back in the day, but they don't say it now. And you'll find obsolete and archaic definitions in older or unabridged dictionaries. That's what unabridged is. They're bridging the old and the new. The change with what it was originally meant to say or meant to state. So the newest definition is a dead body, usually of a person. The older, obsolete, and it's not obsolete anymore because we're using it, a body, living or dead. So you actually have to qualify what type of corpse is it. Now, for those who are a little bit uncomfortable with that, please think habeas corpus. And when you think habeas corpus, you actually have to state that it's a living body that you're calling for. A living habeas corpus, or else a dead one will stay where it is and do what the dead master says. So think about that too when you're removing Moors from captivity. Number 3 says, and this is the oldest version of the word corpse. Corpse candle is at the top because I took this from the top of the page in a dictionary, but that's actually not a part of the definition. Number 3 says a corpse is the endowment of an ecclesiastical office. That means that you're giving an office to someone or something. That's why corpses kept running around doing things at our word. That is where foreign matter started taking up offices and running around doing things because God spoke to them and said whatever we said to make them do that. So now, corporation is in the chat also. Empress Chatali put something in there. Justice Sheikh Klein says also contact capitalism. This tells you the root of capitalism. The root of capitalism is whoever it is that's speaking. That's who gets to monetize something. That's who gets to speak about something. That's who gets to, whose court is calling the shots, basically. Okay? It's the nature of that court. Whoever is the judge, the justice in the court, gets to state what happens to the body. Is it a living body or a dead body? Now, one moment. Just 1 second. Let me move my light out of the way because it's not even on. Okay. So now, Empress Chatali, do you want to read your definition of corporation?
Sure.
Islam.
Corporation, an artificial person or legal entity created by or under the authority of the laws of a state or nation. Let me back up and say this is from Black's Law, second edition.
Yeah, and it's going to be, that's right. That's a good one.
Composed in some rare instances of a single person and his successors being the incumbents of a particular office, but ordinarily consisting of an association of numerous individuals who subsist as a body politic under a special domination, which is regarded in law as having a personality and existence distinct from that of its several members, and which is, by the same authority, vested with the capacity of continuous succession, irrespective of changes in its membership, either in perpetuity or for a limited term of years, and of acting as a unit or single individual in matters relating to the common purpose of association within the scope of the powers and authorities conferred upon such bodies by law. So see case Sultan, hospital, 10 Coke. Do you want me to read that part?
You don't have to. It's up to you.
Okay.
You're leading this.
Okay, I'll stop right there.
Islam, may I pick
yes,
up? Can I speak to what I heard just now?
Yes.
Because it said or into perpetuity or to a time which it's been to end. So the corpse that we're dealing with, the corporate fiction, that one is where that is stated, the one to end. It has an expiration date. The one that has, then it read to into perpetuity, that's where we come in, because we always state we are time immemorial into perpetuity, the sovereign living justices and the ancestors return.
Yes.
Islam.
Today we're going to introduce, and it's really just affirm because you all already know, we're going to affirm into perpetuity what needs to be affirmed so that the actors can stop acting. Okay? We have to introduce that. And when we introduce it in its living state, in her living state, and I'm saying, when I say her, our corporations are matriarchs, are female in nature. Why? Because we are a matriarchal nation. This is a matriarchal era. Does that take anything from our sons? No, it doesn't. In fact, it lifts them up even higher. So now, we are, just a moment, there was a couple of other things in the, yeah, oh wow, my computer just did something I've never seen it do before. Okay, wow. It brought the photo that was in the chat out in front of me. That's good. Okay. So we know that, here, let me go here now. So now, what we have done recently is pronounce that other corpse dead, and we issued a death certificate, right? Where bankruptcy is concerned of the dead, and that's why I always clarify the dead United States Corporation Company. We issued a death certificate for it. And we put that death certificate on the public record because we're saying that's not a living corpse, that's a dead corpse. It's dead. That's not us. Okay. Now let's now talk about let's bring forth state rather the process of bankruptcy so that we will know where we are in that whole process. Where bankruptcy is concerned, this is how bankruptcy happens. A borrower, someone who needs aid, borrows from a lender. Let me make sure. Okay. Borrows from a lender, the creditor, okay? So the debtor or the borrower will borrow from the creditor who is the lender. That borrower then, in the case of the United States, the dead United States Corporation Company, they defaulted on the payments. Okay. When did the borrowing happen? 1871. When did the very first borrowing happen? 1776. So we've been through this before. We've been through this before. And the borrower defaulted on the payments. So then recently, this court, this Congress, this assembly, this grand body of sovereigns, foreclosed, and there were many, many liens that went out on the dead corpse United States Corporation Company. Now, why am I saying on the dead corpse United States Corporation Company? Because there is a living one. That's why I keep reiterating and making sure that we know that there is a living United States Corporation Company. There's a dead one, there's a living one. The dead one was issued from a dead thing. The living one is issued by the living heirs. So the borrower, the debtor, then declared bankruptcy seeking protection from the creditors. When did that happen? Does anyone know when the United States Corporation Company declared bankruptcy and sought protection from the creditors?
1913 or 1933.
Islam.
Yeah. 1933.
Both 1913 and 1933. 1871 also. They've done this numerous times. That's why the documents that we've seen, the incorporation, quote unquote, incorporation documents from 1925, they had already done that in 1871 too. They were just revamping. That was us giving them time to make payments and make good and make do and keep their word on whatever they needed to keep their word on in terms of what they use on our land. That was us doing that. We said, okay, we'll give you another chance. Okay, we'll give you another chance. Okay, we're going to give you another chance, and this time we're going to help you. And what did we do? At first we were using our own capitalism, and then somewhere along the way, somebody went to sleep and stopped writing their own documents and started accepting the documents from the corpses. And then hypothecation and subrogation happened. So now, why am I saying that? I'm saying that, and yes, the sun is the shadows, actually. The sun is great. The shadows are bothering me a little bit. But I know our ancestors know what they're doing. So, there's something in the chat that says the post office is the real bank. We're the real bank. The post office is an office. It's an office. And it's a bank when we say it's a bank. So you're right, but it's only because we are the real bank. You're right about that, but it's any place is a bank. The grocery store is a bank if we're there doing business. So you're absolutely right, Islam. There were some other definitions in the chat of corporation. Thank you for putting those there. Anyone else who wanted to read their definition that they put in the chat of corporation? Let me just see what else is there. Empress Shasha, Islam. Oh, that's a beautiful definition, Empress Shasha.
Okay, I will read it.
That's beautiful.
Corporation, noun, mid-15th century. Corporation, persons united in a body for some purpose. From such use in Anglo-Latin, from late Latin, corporationem, nominative corporatio, assumption of a body, use of the incarnation of Christ. Isn't that something?
Wow.
Noun of action from past participle stem of Latin corporare, embody, make or fashion into a body. From corpus, genitive corporis, body, dead body, animal body. Also a whole composed of united parts. Structure, system, community, corporation, political body, a guild, so from PIE, Proto-Indo-European root, correct, hard to get my tongue and the lips around that word, form, appearance, yes, and let's see, meaning, legally authorized entity, artificial person, created by law from a group or succession of persons, such as municipal government and modern business. Modern business companies is from 1610.
Yes. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
That was full.
Yes. When we talk about the word assumption, think about those who have been pretending to hold office. They are called incumbents, which means to assume the office. And then think about the fake pope pretending to be the vicar of Christ.
I mean,
so Islam Empress. No, go ahead.
When you said incumbent, I mean, that word is used all the time politically, all the time.
That means they're not voted in; they just assume the office.
I mean, I know that I remember listening to Tajiri lecture, and he talked about the plebiscite, where it's made the people believe because it's set up that way, but really and truly, it's the same here. The prime minister is not. The people aren't voting for anything. So anyway, I yield. But
yes, Empress, that is some beautiful knowledge, Empress. Thank you for that. That is beautiful.
This is powerful.
So much we did not know, but now that we are peeling apart the things that need to be peeled apart, so that as we put them back together, they come back together comfortably, so that we go ahead and continue to access our vast estate. So now, wow. Islam Empress.
Empress Aisha L.
Yes.
I was listening today to Yusef L. on a broadcast that he was doing with the older white guy. And they were talking about the birth certificate, that we've been thinking like the birth certificate was us and the live person. And they were bringing out the fact that they never created us live. When they did the birth certificate, we were considered dead. We're considered dead on those birth certificates, period. Gene Keating, he was doing it with Gene Keating.
And Empress? Go ahead. Go ahead, Empress.
It was really enlightening to me, because prior to today, I was thinking, okay, there's a live birth certificate somewhere. I knew it was live, if the Moor created it, if one of the Moors created it themselves.
Yeah. But
anything that was not created by the Moor has all the time, and they brought it up in law, that it's always been considered dead.
Yes.
Whether it's uppercase or upper lowercase. It's
anything created, that's what I'm saying. Anything created by the dead is dead. Even if they put it in all lowercase, still dead. It just assumes a position in their structure, not ours, and not the real structure, because that's not a real structure. That's not a real government. It's not a real structure. And so, Empress, that is affirmation of what we're saying, and also further affirmation of what we're doing today. Again, well, not what we're doing, but what we're presenting to the body today, the living body. Islam. See, even and Empress, what you said is that even the foreign hybrids know that they've been dead the whole time.
Okay.
That's what that's saying. And they were trying, and now that we're speaking the way we're speaking, they can talk about it. And so today, today we're gonna continue raising the dead. Continue. Islam. And yes, the birth certificates that they created. That's why we've been replicating everything, Moors, because even their documents and stuff, that's all dead stuff, because it comes from a dead mother. And I'm not calling the modern European a dead mother, but I am saying that status-wise, any creation by a dead corpse is dead. In other words, those birth certificates were printed by someone, whoever it was, whatever entity that was claiming those birth certificates is a dead entity. That's why we even have to replicate those. We have to actually print something that looks exactly like it, but it comes from us. And then on that, we can correct what needs to be corrected.
Islam,
Empress.
Yeah, because that's the question I was going to ask. Because I was listening to a brother that was talking about he used those birth certificates, and because those are evidence of the bond, and so he is able to get, funds from that. And so I was like, well, since we are the trustees, we should still be able to use, find a way to use, because it is proof, even if it is the dead paper, it is proof of trust, that there is a trust, and so, that's what I was thinking about, like, how do we do that, because it is, at the end of the day, proof, because it was a financial document.
It's proof of a dead trust from them. That's why they kept holding things and claiming things. The dead don't have any rights on this land. But we have to produce documents that look identical to those, but they have the right words on them. Empress Crystal put in the chat, shouldn't we return Caesar's property? She did. I did too, and let me show you, and we'll talk about that because, and we've shown this before. When I returned unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, Caesar took the dead part into his inventory and reflected it in black ink, and then sent back the documentation, because the documentation, we're replicating everything. We have to replicate everything. And that's what we're doing, replicating everything. Because it has to be issued by the living state in order for it to be a living document. We are the living state. We are the living nation. We are the living government. We're the only government. And when I say we, I mean all Moors. We're the only government at Earth.
Okay, Islam. It's me again.
Yes, Islam.
So I hear what you're saying. I get it. It's just I'm in the process. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, so Article 6 of the Constitution says all debts contracted before the adoption of the United States shall remain valid. Before the adoption of this Constitution shall remain valid against the United States. So I know that they're talking about the debts to the dead United States. And I know that that portion is in favor to us, the heirs, because it's saying that that debt, is valid so that we can use it as credit, So I'm thinking, like, as we are, claiming, our stuff through judgment recovery, we're pointing to our liens saying, okay, we liened you, the dead United States, so you have to, pay up, credit us, but all the dead bonds, which you've said, are evidence, that they owe a debt as well. So we have the, all the, dead titles that were sent to us or whatever, or evidence, and also the liens where we show the dead. But now that we've resurrected them, they're the living, but yet part of the claim is that you owe us. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm trying to put it together.
Okay, we are going to put it together today. So in some of what you said, there needs to be some finer splitting of the hairs so that you know who we raised from the dead and all of that, okay? We did not resurrect any dead United States Corporation company. We didn't resurrect them. They're dead. They're debtors. We issued a death certificate. Who we raised from the dead is the subjects who were under that false god. It was a false god. So all we did was say, dead United States Corporation Company, you're done. You're out of here. We're going to present.
I get that. So I'm saying so it's like, sins are washed away, right?
Well, from the subjects.
From the subjects. Okay, so, but we're pointing back to the lien, which is referring to the dead state. So that's where I'm getting a little bit confused about it. Yeah.
Well, Empress, if I say, if you can give me about 15 minutes, it'll probably be, I'm hoping that what we present today will be clearer.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, and if it's not, stop me and say that didn't clear that up right. Okay, so, and there's a reason why I've given this long introduction, because it's to split the hairs right down the middle with exactly what you're pointing to. Exactly. United States does owe a debt to the heirs, but heirs cannot take credit from anything dead. We have to create the living creditor. I mean, we actually are creating a living debtor. It can't be a dead one. Now, please pull up the word debt or debtor in the dictionary, because see, we need to know that there's two sides to that too. There's two sides to it. Justice J. Michael asked a really good question in the chat. He says, why would we have to replicate their fake documents when they did corporate overlays of our documents and corrupted them? Justice J. Michael, can you point to a living corporation birth certificate that you could use to get the credits instead of the dead one? Can you point to one? Is there one in existence? And you can star 6 if you choose.
This is Jay Michael. I don't understand the question. What you're asking?
Okay. The question is, we know that those birth certificates are dead that they created. Yeah. So can you point to a birth certificate, not a living birth affidavit, because we already created those? Can you point to a birth certificate that is living that we could use?
No, but because even the certificates of live birth are death certificates, right?
They are if they're created by the dead. Yes, absolutely.
Right?
You're right.
So no, answer no, I don't.
Okay, we have to create them. That's why we replicate the documents. They were just, we've been looking in a funny mirror. We've been looking in a mirror at what we must create on this end. And that's why we're going to replicate those birth certificates. But let me even show you how we're going to replicate them, because they're going to look just like the other ones, but they're going to come from us. Yes, Islam Empress Aisha.
Yes, I do have a live birth certificate that was created by Moore.
Okay.
But I don't know how to get the picture on the screen, but I do have one.
Okay. Does it look like the one that the dead United States gave you?
No.
Okay.
No, it has a large border around it. It's
okay.
not enclosed in any squares, and it does have lines on it, but it's not. It doesn't have any closed-in squares on it.
Okay. Okay.
And it says Moorish Aboriginal Indigenous Sovereign Affidavit Certificate of Natural Live Birth.
That's beautiful. That sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
it's been recorded too.
It's been what, Empress?
It has been recorded on public record.
So when you say recorded on public record, you took it down to the county and they put it on the public record that way?
Yes, when the papers were done, we all went to the county and recorded.
Islam. So that is similar to what we're doing today, similar to what we're presenting. Justice Jade, I believe, is saying something.
Well, really what my question was, why do we have to do something that we've already done before? I mean, they just copied it and reverse engineered everything.
They did.
Trade places with us.
They did.
We've already done these documents. Why do we have to do them again?
You're not doing them again. There's a difference between a birth affidavit and a birth certificate.
Okay, I understand with the birth certificate, the affidavit, but all the documents, like for instance, IRS or all these overlays that they did, they did it. They copied our stuff. They reverse engineered stuff that was already by us.
You're describing the funny mirror. Yeah, that's correct.
So we have to do it again. Every document that they've done when they stole the estate or, tried to create that illusion, we've got to do every document again and correct it when it's already a fact, what it is.
Okay, so the answer to your question is you're sovereign. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. That's the first answer to the question. The second answer to the question is you said that it's a fact. Yes, it's a fact, but we have to write it into law. And by writing it into law, we have to rebut what they put out there because there are affidavits behind what they said that need to be rebutted by all law is specific. That's a third way to say, yes, we have to replicate every document and every piece of paper. But in as much as you choose to do that.
Yeah.
Okay? There's a reason why millions were employed to push paper with that corporate piece. Because they were replicating everything that we originally did and said back in the day, that our ancestors did and said. And now it's our turn. So now, with the again, there's a difference between. See, we're speaking the law on all dimensions. There are 3 dimensions that we agreed to operate in order to manifest in this dimension, and those 3, that hierarchy. Now, again, we're in all dimensions, and there are millions and trillions. There's an untold number of dimensions. We're in all of them. For this manifestation and this lifetime that we're in right now, the hierarchy is what we showed you at the beginning, and that's exactly why we showed you that at the beginning, where we showed this hierarchy here. 1, 2, 3. So they put, the foreigners put quite a few layers on top of our estate in order to hide it from us. Right?
Yes.
So we're just looking at 3 layers of documentation. Just 3. And everything belongs to us. And then from there, as we want to access other parts of the estate, because there are other layers, then we put those layers forth. But see, that's why we didn't really have a 9-to-5 job back in the day. We were just doing documentation and paperwork. But then when we said, okay, we're going to adopt this system, then the 9-to-5 jobs came in. But these are our jobs. This is our job to govern this estate and make sure that all the dimensions are addressed and rebutted properly. So that's why we're doing what we're doing. So you may think that we're repeating but being redundant, but we're really not. All of us have had in our sleep, there was a long form that we never even saw of the dead birth certificate issued by the dead United States Corporation Company. Most have not even seen that. I know I've never seen it, but I know it exists, or it existed previously, rather. They did the 3 layers. They did the 3 layers. And so we have to rebut the 3 layers.
I don't know. I guess it's because of my perspective that they were de facto in the first place, and I shouldn't have to answer to some fake situation when, it is what it is. But,
we're here to be tested. That's why we're here, to be tested and to out-test all of that. Yeah. So now, Justice Jade, and I hear what you're saying. So now, it's not even a matter of answering to the fake. We're not answering to the fake. We're accessing our vast estate. So don't look at it as answering to them, because we're not. We're rebutting at law properly the stuff that really doesn't exist. Now, if you want to go even further to the metaphysical part of it, That other system doesn't exist. What we're doing is actually creating the earth and everything in it and taking dominion over everything, as if that other thing never happened. That thing was just it's a template or a map.
Are we rebutting our essence to that fake system?
No.
So when you rebut whatever they say, that's what we're doing. When they put it out there, we rebut it via affidavit, right? We rebut it.
Yeah. We're going to rebut everything they say. Why? Because an unrebutted affidavit stands as law. And we know they're not the law.
But we also acquiesced to that at first, right? We went along with that. So that's
how did we do that? How did we go along with it? What action did we take or not take?
By not taking action, by not rebutting it?
By not speaking, yes, absolutely. That's how that happened. Now, let me put it this way also. When we were on those jobs, those jobs, if they had said, recreate all of these documents and have them done by the end of the week, would we have done it?
Probably not.
You would. What would you have done? Quit?
We can't quit.
Taking a write-up? What would you have done?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Our ancestors are just cannot wait to give us everything that we saw for ourselves and more. They just want us to do the work. They just want us to do this. They're not even asking us. We haven't even gotten into a bunch of other stuff that is good for us. We're just talking about the basics here. They're saying just do this. You don't even have to the template is there. Just produce it, originate it for yourselves. So I see what you're saying. It might seem redundant, but it's really not when you even think about the steps that they took. Because can you imagine how they must have felt when we said to them, okay, you all are going to have to pretend like you're over us. They probably pooped bricks when we told them, you're going to have to convince the rest of the world that you're over us. So we said, okay, we've already done everything all you got to do is fake these documents right here. And you put them out. We know you did. Put them out. And then when we wake up, we'll just replicate them back to what they were originally, where you copied them from. Because they're mimics. We've said that many times, they're mimics. So now, Justice J, does that help with regard to why replicate?
Yeah, I mean, if you do it in real time, you're declaring, something too, obviously. So, I mean, it's what we have to do, I imagine. But it's just, to me, everything, because it seems like the things that they put in place were designed to usurp us.
Of course.
Plays over things that we had already created.
Yes. And for us that are here now, we're actually creating them for the first time for us and for our heirs and their heirs.
Islam to the mirror part, because I remember we had spoke about that. And so as I'm sitting here meditating further, the House of Horror in coming season of Halloween, as it were. And you can go to like mazes and things, but they usually have this one place where you go and you stand there, and there's mirrors, and they're all at different angles, and they show you, and then the more you look, you keep thinking that you're multiplying, right? And you're standing, and then they call it a house of horror, or mirrors. And so as we stand there at the mirror, the original mirror, as it was duplicated in the fiction, we have to stand there at the mirror again and now look at ourselves and then break the fiction because we're looking at the true mirror ourselves.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Mirrors create derivatives. That's a financial term. Mirrors create derivatives. So we're not looking in a funny mirror anymore. We're actually manifesting what needs to be manifested with regard to who we really are. So, yes, Islam Empress.
No, I'm just saying, and so, because I'm anticipating to hear what you got to say as far as this presentment.
I'm getting there. And I will say this about this presentment. When the ancestors told me that I had to present this, I was like, really? Me? Why? And they said, just do what we are telling you from within you. So I said, okay. So, because we actually are putting the finishing touches on all that we have done in terms of reverse engineering back into who we really are. And when I say who we really are, we are who we are all the time, at any time. But Moors have been needing to get things on the land, and that's the part we're talking about today. Okay.
Islam, I gotta say one thing before we move on. Yes, we met up at New York, this Empress who's at the Bronx. Mm-hmm. And we're walking her back to the train station, accompanied her. And her and I was in conversation, and she was talking about the temple and how she went to this institution to get finance, and the institution said, you present the Moorish American government? She's like, yeah, the Temple of America. And they said, guess what they said, honey? Bring a letterhead with that which you state, and anything you ask is yours, essentially. That's what she said to me. And she didn't know what we know. She studies what she studied as far as the temple more. So I'm sitting there saying, oh, snap. She didn't even know what she said to me because she didn't know. She didn't have a clue. Yeah. She had no predication to say anything, to sway yay or nay. As far as she said it in all innocence and in all sincerity of truth. And I said, so how long ago did that happen? She said, last holy day. I said, really? I said, which institution was it? She said, Bank of America. I said, really? I said, because that place has been leaned 7 ways to Sunday, honey.
Well, they know what they listen, we've been these calls is just the beginning of the work that's been being done in the background by all of us.
Mhm.
So
she was like, really? Because she doesn't know anything about the link process. So she was like, I'm interested to hear more. I said, because all she knew was that they told her, bring the letterhead. And all we've been saying is use more letterhead. And they said, bring the letterhead with what you asked for on it.
Yeah.
And it's yours.
Yeah. Islam. Empress.
What they really did was make a cooperation out of us. We've been a business to them all this time, and we didn't know it.
Correct.
Islam.
We're fixing that today. Okay. So now, in furtherance of our presentment today, we talked about bankruptcy. We talked about the borrower borrowing from the lender, and then the borrower defaults on the payments. The lender forecloses, which is what our liens were. Our liens, Morris, was we foreclosed on them. That's what a lien is. A lien says we're taking back and possessing everything that belongs to us. Possess and occupy mean the same thing, by the way. In the dictionary, if you all will look up the word occupy and look up the word possess, they're going to refer back to each other. We have always been here, so we have always possessed the land. That's number one. And then number 4, borrower declares bankruptcy seeking protection from creditors, and the lender chooses to repossess. That's UCC 9-314, which is entitled Perfection by Control. And then we choose to liquidate, whether we liquidate it to ourselves or to others, so that there is a written exchange on the public record. So now the lender, now with regard to this, let's just talk about this bankruptcy scenario here briefly. The lender, like let's say when Wells Fargo, how long has Wells Fargo or Bank of America or Navy Federal, how long have they all been in business, supposedly? Or how long have they been using those names, Wells Fargo and all of that? They've been doing that since forever. How many times have they been bankrupt? Many. And every time that they were bankrupt, every time Wells Fargo or Navy Federal, because Navy Federal's been claiming to be a corporation since 1933. You can find that on their website. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, I think is claiming 1925 or something like that. So they've been bankrupt since then, but somehow only the logo changed, or they changed the name slightly so that they were not the old name, but that everyone who would go to Bank of America and say, oh, I bank there, everyone would know who you're talking about, right? So now, again, before we go to the presentment, because we're getting there. We're there already, really. We're well into the presentment because this is all part of it. Please, with the programming that we have been programmed, we have to set that aside so that we can hear. And that's only for those who choose to set it aside. Okay? Because no one can tell the sovereigns what to do, and anybody trying to tell the sovereign what to do is absolutely crazy, because I wouldn't try that. I would not try that ever, because it's just, you can't do it. Even at gunpoint, we didn't do. Okay? Most of us proved that. So the lender has kept, they'll say, okay, everybody knows who Wells Fargo is, so we're going to keep the name, but we're going to change it slightly. We're going to change the logo slightly. And then they'll say, okay, that way the loyal patrons will not notice the change. So many banks have defaulted. They've declared bankruptcy. They've changed the logo slightly. They've edited the name. They put the logo in uppercase letters, medium logo, lowercase letters. They did all kinds of madness while we were asleep in order to keep things going until we woke up. The United States Corporation Company has been declaring bankruptcy since 1933. We did not foreclose at the time, so they enacted the printing of the fiat and continued to enact commerce. Bankruptcy and foreclosure has occurred as proclaimed by this court. Liquidation is the next phase. How does liquidation occur? This is how it occurs. We already have possession of everything. We, the creditors, have to rebrand the products under new management, and it's not new, it's ancient. We've always been here. We've always been the government. And then we state how commerce will commence. We get to say how the liquidation occurs, but we have to say it on a public record. Now we have rebranded the products and are preparing to do commercial liquidation as fiduciaries with power for attorney. We talked about the power for attorney last week, and I showed you the power for attorney. That's the rebranding. That's the difference. There's a difference between a power of attorney and a power for attorney. Okay, we do powers for attorney. Okay, look up the word attorney as well so that you will know that any word that we speak has life as long as we're talking about us. We cannot give titles to the dead because that's the problem we had. Dead people claiming titles on our land when they don't have them. So now, we state the process for acquiring the products and the currency to be accepted, and then commerce begins. That's how liquidation happens. We rebrand the products, and we prepare to liquidate by taking physical control of the products and process, and we state the process for acquiring the products and then the currency to be accepted, and then commerce begins. That's how liquidation happens. So now we have capitalized our commerce and are preparing for lawful commerce to begin under our properly proclaimed authority. So now, let me just ask you, do we know that we are the United States for America and not the United States of America? Is everyone clear on that? That is the rebranding, and it's not even rebranding. It's ancient.
Just checking in to see if you got that Range Rover yet, Pauline.
In the United States for America.
You picking up that Range Rover? Is that Range Rover of Pauline's or Range Rover for Pauline?
Make sure that we all are
aware. Is that Range Rover of Pauline or for Pauline? Where's that Range Rover, Pauline? Why don't you pick up that Range Rover? The Range Rover for Pauline. Where's that? Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck.
Just a moment. Order in the court. Order in the court. Order in this court. Islam. Now, just one moment. Let me make sure we keep order in this courtroom here. Because this is, you can always tell when you right where you're supposed to be. You can always tell. So I'm going to unmute. You all can unmute yourselves if you want to continue, because we're going to keep going. We're not stopping. So now, is everyone clear that we are the United States for America and not the United States of America? Is everyone clear about that?
Islam, yes.
Okay. Anyone else want to state on the public record?
Islam.
Islam is clear.
Islam.
Islam is clear.
Islam, clear.
Okay.
Islam is clear.
Islam, thank you, emperors and
Islam
empresses.
is clear.
Islam, thank you.
Islam is clear.
Okay. So what we have done is we are presenting the articles for incorporation for the United States Corporation Company. But it's us and not them. It's the living corporation and not the dead one. Now, that corporation is not us. It's a tool that we use. Okay? So what did we do? Let's read through the articles for incorporation, so that you will know that everything that we're doing is lawful and legal and according to the law. So this was, and again, this is how they're presented. And Morris, just know that we're putting this on the public record right now. It has not been done yet. It's being done now, as we so proclaim it. Okay. So now, the articles for incorporation. Now, we know we're the Treasury. We know we're all of that. This United States Corporation Company is under the United States for America, not the United States of America. Okay? It's under us, not them, not the dead. So it says here, filed at the Article 3 United States District Court at 911 Southwest 314th Place. Just one moment. There's a little bit of noise coming from somewhere. Does someone have a question or some wisdom? Because, see, we have to take back everything. Everything's got to be back to where it was. And they have to stop saying what they're saying every time we start speaking. Their courts are quiet and they're fake courts. Their fake courts stop talking to the ones, to the Moors who begin being the real court. Same thing with this. So now, there is a little bit of noise coming from one or two of the lines. You may want to mute. Okay. So, again, this United States Corporation Company is back. It's under us because it was under our ancestors, the United States for America. Filed at the Article 3 United States District Court at 911 Southwest 314th Place, Federal Way, Washington, and that's ancient Washington, this 9th day of October, AD 2022. That is this consular court here that I'm at. Okay. And I put that there because of all of, like, we put the Constitution on the public record and all of that. So we know that this is at Washington and not the state of Washington, which does not exist. So our court is where it's filed at. However, we are going to put it on the public record so that it is recorded by all inferior courts and all of that. Okay. So now we have here our universal mailing location here on the right is where we have received mailings and things previously. It has latitude and longitude. It's got our universal natural area code. And for those where the programming is kicking in and saying, we ask that you just listen first and let's read through it first. Okay? And we'll change what needs to be changed as we go through. So if there are any changes that need to be made, please let us know. And it says, with notification to the office of the state secretary, certified mail, and we'll put a certified mailing number there. Now, this is us going into commerce. Okay? So when you're talking about domiciles and conveyances and things like that, this had to be in place first because we removed the frauds out of the way, but now we have to put the real there. We leaned the fraudulent one, and now we have to put the real one there. And also, Moors, remember that they would put all caps names that looked exactly like ours on a piece of paper, but that's not us. We're us, and our person looks the same as that, but our person belongs to us because we created it. And where it says state secretary signature, we will sign there. So we don't need any foreign signatures or anything like that. We're going to continue doing what we're doing, but we're going to put it on a public record. Okay. Now let's read through the articles for incorporation. Articles for incorporation for United States Corporation Company. The name for the corporation is United States Corporation Company. The original indigenous living nature for the business and the objectives and purpose stated to be action promoted or exchanged by the corporation are as follows. To originate, generate, prepare, and procure to be filed, recorded, registered, published, issued, ministered, or granted in accordance with the law, articles and or certificates, and let me correct that there, for incorporation, and that goes back to the birth certificate. It needs to be produced by the living United States Corporation Company so that commerce, because that's a commercial document. It says here, and or certificates for incorporation, applications, and or affidavits for letters patent, charters, and other instruments relating to the incorporation and organization for corporations and joint stock companies. And as a side note here, Moors have been wanting to do business, and they've been trying to find ways to do commerce and to incorporate. It has to be under a covering, and that covering must be us. It must be us. The second part here, to originate, generate, prepare, and procure to be filed, recorded, registered, published, issued, ministered, or granted certificates, reports, statements, applications for licenses to do business, or other instruments in relation to domestic and foreign corporations, companies. Let me make sure we put the right thing there. Companies or associations. So as foreigners even come to this land to do business, they still have to come under us. And this vehicle of the United States Corporation Company, first of all, it is a special purpose vehicle by which taxes and all of that other stuff can be collected and go to the right place, not the wrong place. Okay. Let's read further. To provide and maintain domiciliary and other offices and facilities for corporations, companies, and associations, and to be the, and this is actually the principal. This should say principal. In charge thereof, and for whom process for or against or any official notices to any such corporation, company, or association may be served or given, and for any other lawful purpose. What we're saying here is this is where domiciles, office space, facilities, anything comes under this body, this living body, and that we're the principles of that, which is directly in alignment with what we've been doing with regard to those resignation and removal letters. Okay, we are the principal for all companies, corporations, associations, etc. It says to be the fiscal or transfer principal, and I was taking these. I'll show you where this came from. That's why the word agent keeps popping up in here. Let me change it to principal. For or registrar for the stock and securities issued by any public or private corporation, and in such capacity to receive and disperse money, to transfer, register, autograph. Just one moment. Let me put that in. Corporate English or common English. Autograph, sign, issue, and deliver stock certificates or affidavits, private and public commercial paper, and other credits, and to be the principal or agent in the case of those who choose to be the agents for any corporation, foreign or domestic, for any lawful purpose. And we'll put lawful and legal purpose. To carry on the business of an appraisal and audit company, and in connection therewith to make examinations and appraisals of the business and property for corporations and individuals, to examine and audit their books and accounts, and to make reports and certificates of or affidavits in respect thereof. To publish, deal, exchange, or otherwise in books, periodicals, pamphlets, legal forms, and blanks of all kinds. That means starting with a blank piece of paper, we can do whatever we want to do with that. To acquire by purchase or otherwise, and to hold for investment or otherwise, to use, sell, lease, or dispose of real estate and real property and any interest, estate, or rights therein. So we can dispose of rights as well, because we're the head. To acquire, purchase, subscription, or otherwise, and to hold for investment or otherwise, and to use, sell, or dispose of stock shares, bonds, or any other obligations or securities for any corporation, domestic or foreign. To aid in any manner any corporation whose stock shares, bonds, or other obligations are held or in any manner guaranteed by the company, or in which the company is in any way interested, and to do any other actions or things for the preservation, protection, improvement, or enhancement of the value of any such stock shares, bonds, or other obligations, to exercise all the rights, powers, and privileges for ownership thereof, and to exercise any and all voting powers thereon.
Islam, may I just point out that this sounds exactly what I studied, trust law. This language is verbatim for everything that it's reading.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. To acquire, because when anyone comes to this land, they need to be, we have the authority to check whatever they're doing, okay, and govern it. So let's read further. To acquire by purchase or otherwise, and to hold, own, use, grant licenses in respect to, or otherwise turn to account, or dispose of any copyrights, trademarks, inventions, patent rights, and letters patent of the United States or of any other country, nation, state, or otherwise. And I'm going to change that to for the United States, because that's actually this United States and not the dead one. We're not talking about the dead one at all in this document at all. They are not mentioned in this document. Everything is for us. The business for the corporation is from time to time to do any one or more of the actions and things herein set forth. And she, the United States Corporation Company, may conduct business at Washington State, and we say state in parentheses, in all lowercase letters, other states, which is the states united, Washington District for Columbia, the territories and colonies of or for the United States, and at foreign countries, nations, waters, and lands, have one or more offices out of Washington, the state, and hold, purchase, mortgage, and convey real and personal property within or without Washington, the state. When we're talking about things like this, like mortgages, because some will say mortgage is a dead pledge, look the word up. There's two sides to every story. And when it's dead when it's issued by the dead. Just like a corpse is dead if the dead are speaking. Okay. Let's see. The maximum number, and this is this part right here is what I did just with what I have and what I know. This is going to change. I know it's going to change because there are many of us. The maximum number of shares which this corporation is authorized to have outstanding at any time is 1,000. Each of which shares shall have a par value of $1,000. And this particular piece right here, for each more who assents to this, that number will increase. All of these numbers will increase. Okay. Number 4, the amount of capital with which the corporation will begin business is $3,000 in gold, which is $900 in gold, $100 in silver, platinum is $1,000. Natural diamonds is $500, and natural sea salt minerals is $500. Now, where did these numbers come from? These numbers came from my inventory of what I have off-site. So it's not this is not here at my domicile, but it is off-site, and I have possession of it directly. And what I'm doing again is, if you don't have anything to put, you have energy, and the energy is actually more valuable than any of this. So everyone, all Moors, can be a part of whatever they choose to be a part of, and can govern from wherever they choose to govern with regard to this document. The corporation shall exist to perpetuity. Now, that statement right there ends the fraudulent United States. It ends it. Okay. The principal office for the corporation shall be located in the First Avenue Building, Federal Way, Washington, King County, or 911 Southwest 314th Place, Federal Way, Washington Territory. Again, those things are flexible. They will change as we move and change and get out onto the territories and do the things that we're doing. Again, I didn't want to leave any place blank in this document. The number of directors shall be 1 and maybe 3 at a later time. Now, that's going to change. All of us are directors of the United States, of this United States Corporation Company, not the other one, this one. Okay? And we all decide how to do that. So, the name for the directors who shall hold office, and I'll show you where all this came from. The name for the directors who shall hold office for the first year of the corporation's existence or until their successors are elected and have qualified, and their post office addresses are as follows. And then I put Pauline Denise Ritchie, because again, this is a corporate special purpose vehicle by which commerce is done. So I didn't put it in all lowercase letters because I'm out here. I'm not in this, I'm out here. We're all outside of a corporation. We're all the living beings. This is a special purpose vehicle where all caps is used. Okay. And then it says the number 9 says the names and post office addresses for, it's a post office address, not a postal address and not a corporate address in terms of the dead one. It says the names and post office addresses for the officers for this affidavit and the number of stock shares which each agrees to take is as follows. And then we put here the number of shares is 5. And I put 5 shares just because and it actually should say 3 shares because I changed that number again. 3 shares, each share being $1,000. So it's where it says here each of which shares shall have a par value of $1,000, so it should be 3. Initially, I had $5,000 there, but it's 3. So $3,000 and 3 shares based on what is on the table right now. Now, let me say this about what I put on the table here. What I put on the table stays in my possession. Whatever you put on the table stays in your possession. No one else possesses it. And I'll tell you this, the United States Corporation Company, the dead one, was claiming everything anyway. That's why they felt like they could come and get whatever they wanted to get, whatever. Okay? We're just doing it the right way. Except nobody has to throw all of their stuff in one pot and give it over to one person, quote unquote. Everyone keeps their whatever it is that they put on the table. They just list it truthfully that this is what they're putting on the table. And then, again, you are directors, fiduciaries, trustees. You have power for attorney. In other words, You can do things legally with regard to the United States and all of that. Okay. This is another way also where liquidation has to happen. It has to happen this way. The number of directors shall be 1 and maybe 3, and I could have put or more here. I'll put that right here, or more, at a later time. And again, we're all directors. I'm putting that on the public record right now. The name for the directors who shall hold office for the first year, and I would suggest that we all put those instruments that we call our names in this on a document like this, and put it on a public record. And number of directors shall be 1 or maybe 3 or more at a later time. Just for me drafting up this document is why I did that also. The directors and stockholders shall have powers to hold their meetings and to have 1 or more offices and to keep the books for the corporation except the original or duplicate stock ledger. The original and duplicate stock ledger is kept by us in all lowercase letters or us in capitis diminutio minima. And proof of that, Morris, is when the subject doing business as Donald Trump took some records and put them at Mar-a-Lago, he was also trying to show that he can take the records, the originals, he can take them and put them there. And because he was claiming to be in capitis diminutio minima and not the quote-unquote president, they can't really do anything about that. They really can't. Because originally, those documents that they presented came from them. They produced them. His grandfather actually produced. He took the originals that his grandfather produced. That's why in the 1800s, there's a book written about someone called Donald Trump, who has a son called Barron Trump. And there's a book that was written in the 1870s about that. You can look that up. So he knew who wrote those documents. Now, what does that say? That says that this United States corporation company can take Vatican documents. Those, in other words, they're already in our possession. We can look at them. We can see them. The documents that our ancestors wrote, we can look at all of that. We can see all of it, and nothing is hidden from us. Okay, so it says except the original or duplicate stock ledger, which is going to be held by us still, but it's not us in a corporate capacity. It's us in our sovereign capacity. And this is a sovereign corporation, except it's sovereign under us. So it says the directors and stockholders shall have power to hold their meetings and to have 1 or more offices and to keep the books for the corporation, except the original or duplicate stock ledger outside of Washington, the state, at such place or places as from time to time may be designated by the bylaws or by resolution by the board. We're all on the board. We're all on the board because we do everything together. The directors, and there's where that's plural. That means more than one. That means all of us. The directors shall also have power without the assent or vote of the stockholders, and the stockholders are the sleeping Moors who don't yet know they're Moors, to make and alter bylaws for the corporation, to fix the times for the declaration and payment of dividends. That means we get to say when payment is made, and to fix, and that's going to be important with what we produce, what we present as we go further in this presentment. Where it says to fix the times for the declaration and payment of dividends, and to fix and vary the amount to be reserved as working capital, to determine the use and disposition for any surplus or net profits over and above the capital stock paid in, and at their discretion, and it should say our discretion, And at our discretion, the directors may use and apply any such surplus or accumulated profits for purchasing or acquiring the bonds or other obligations and shares of, and this should say credits and bonds, the credit bonds and other obligations or shares of the capital stock of the corporation to such extent and in such manner and upon such terms as the directors shall deem expedient. But shares of such capital stock so purchased or acquired may be resold unless such shares shall have been retired for the purpose of decreasing the corporation's capital stock as provided by law. We, the undersigned, and I don't want to say the undersigned, because that's not the right word. We who sign, and it is signed below, because when you're using all caps, you sign. And you don't sign in all caps, you sign in capitals diminutio minima. We who sign below, being each of the original scribes to capital stock herein previously stated, do hereby associate for the purpose of establishing a corporation pursuant to the corporation law, Washington, the state, and Washington District 4, Columbia, 2022. In honor, our hands and seals this 9th day of October, 2022, in the presence of God Almighty, which is us, and then we sign. And then it says here, and this is the beauty of our sovereign status, Washington, the state, King County, and you all can put where you are. If you're at Montgomery, Alabama, you would put Montgomery or Alabama, the state, and then you would put Montgomery County, October 9th, and I chose October 9th to manifest this because that was the full moon. That was the day of the full moon. Personally appeared before me a qualified notaria publica, which is a notary public, but it's us, for Washington and King County, not state of Washington and not King County Corporation or County of King. Pauline Denise Ritchie, to me known and known to me to be the person described in and who executed the foregoing instrument, who acknowledged, and let me put here, to me that she executed the same freely and voluntarily as and for her action, for the uses and purposes herein expressed. Witness my hand and official government seal the day and year for this affidavit, first above written, at Federal Way, King County, Washington. And then I would put my signature there and my stamp and seal, my government stamp and seal, and notaria publica stamp, which I don't have one of those, so I use my government stamp and seal as the same. And I would sign all three of these places right here. However, all of us, okay, and I would put the stamp and seal there. As many of us as choose to place the document on the public record can do so that we can begin liquidating in our territories, okay? And we can liquidate it to ourselves and to others. Now, let's be clear about why I put my own gold and silver and all of that on in the document. I put that in the document, and that can be anything, because the gold and silver can be melted down into coin piece. So if you have an old gold something, or you want to go to let's say Dr. G and get some silver, or you want to go to a pawn shop and get some gold, or you have something, or you can go into the computers and the cell phones and get the gold out of there. I didn't even count that. I should have counted that, because then that would have probably made it 5,000. That actually definitely would have made it 5,000. But if each one of us who choose to do so, put these documents on the public record, then liquidation can occur. Let me show you the rest of the documentation, because there's two other documents that go with this. Okay. Okay, and that's the sum total of this document right here. That is what we just read. Okay. And I'm going to change this back to 5 because I just remembered that I have gold that came. I showed you all this gold not too long ago, but this is the gold that came out of the computer. The computer's, it's getting dark. The sun is starting to go down over here. It's starting to get dark over here. Let me move those back a little bit. Just one moment. Let me move these lights back just a little bit.
Sure. That just a little. Listen to someone. Everyone said he commanded cell phone service, plan, rover, trash service,
etc. Blah 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 blah.
Because we all know bullshit.
That's so funny. That's so funny. Okay. Yeah, this is not something that, if they're objecting, we know it's the right thing to do, right? So anyway, this is some of the gold that came out of the computers. And I have a bunch of other ones that I need to pull out. That's some of the gold that came out of the computers. I have way more that I need to pull out. And the cell phones. And that can be added too. So if you have old cell phones, old computers, you don't even have to worry about a pawn shop or anything like that. You can just pull it right on out of there and count it, because it's going to be melted down to make your coinage at some point when you're ready to do that. And we're gonna walk all the way through that too, so that we can continue building our government. Because this is actually how it was done previously. Okay, so the next, and here's the thing, it doesn't necessarily have to be melted down if you don't want it to be melted down, okay? Now, let me discuss why this gold and silver and stuff is in here. This gold and silver is in these articles of incorporation because the paper that we produce, our United States Corporation Company script, military script, and it's peace. We're peace officers because we're not at war. Our papers and documents that we've been doing already and that we're going to be doing are backed by gold, silver, platinum, natural resources, sea salt, whatever you have in your possession. Okay. And then it's going to set it up so that you can produce more of whatever it is. Okay. So any paper that comes from the United States Corporation Company, ours is backed by gold, silver, platinum. It's backed by all of that. And we have it in our inventory. So even 1 ounce of gold is worth more than the entire United States Corporation Company and their fraudulent paper. We know that. We know that. All we had to do was stand and produce. And this is the start of that. With regard to, and we want to make a statement after we present these next 2 documents, so that we know about the money piece, about where delarium and fiduciary money come in at. Okay, we had to produce them. Our ancestors just reverse engineered everything that we're doing. One moment, please. They just reverse engineered everything and had us to do everything a certain way. Now, the first thing that we did, if you'll remember, we appointed ourselves fiduciaries. All of us. We're fiduciaries because we're the creditors. The creditor must step forward and do fiduciary documentation so that we can do as what any creditor and fiduciary would do when it's time to liquidate, because there's been a default, there's been a bankruptcy, and that's why we explained that process in the beginning of what happens. Well, the creditors are repossessing, we've already foreclosed, we're repossessing, and now we're liquidating, and we can liquidate back to ourselves, or we can liquidate, we can put it up for sale and liquidate it to others, So this is where delarium and other things come in at. So the first thing we did was we appointed ourselves fiduciary trustees because we had to. We are the creditors, and it is the fiduciary's responsibility to take control of and marshal all assets and offices comprising the estate and trust, because the stated fiduciary trustees have assumed office at the grantor's or testator's death. And again, we're talking about our ancestors. We're not even talking about corpses. Okay? Therefore, all assets are hereby returned to the people who are the United States. And we put that in the resignation and removal documents. This fiduciary document was signed with the signature of Joseph Biden, former custodian, United States, Janet Yellen, former custodian, United States Treasury, and Jerome Powell, former custodian, United States Federal Reserve. Okay? And we showed you how and why we have the authority to do that. Now, the next document, so there's actually, that document we had shown you previously. The next document that we have done in order to properly liquidate what needs to be liquidated. Okay. Just one moment, Empress. It's unlocked, Empress Chitali. Okay. So now, United States Corporation Company, power for attorney. And we suggest that all Moors do these actions right here after you have put. And Moors at UK and Jamaica and all other territories, you should do the same. And the Moors at UK, we have done documents where the Crown is concerned. You should be doing documents, where the United States Corporation Company is concerned, because they were all up in the mix. Okay, so we're taking everything because it belongs to us rightfully. Let's see. So power for attorney, this is just a one-page document. It says, the law does hereby state that Pauline Denise Ritchie does accept the duties as attorney in fact for the beneficiary, United States Corporation Company, and that she does have full power and authority to perform the following for the beneficiary. Again, this is about the people. This is about the people, the public, the people, the Moors, the sleeping ones who don't know. And this is about us as well. Okay? To command, demand, file, record, sue, cover, recover, claim, collect, register, receive, accept, disperse, distribute, negotiate, apply, and etc. Each and all sums of money, credit, account legacy, bequest, interest, dividend, annuity, and all others. All statements, bills, notes, papers, and all others at all times, now for then, which shall become due to or owing or owed to, or payable or dischargeable, belonging to, owned by, accepted or claimed by the beneficiary, United States Corporation Company. Now, this is going to mean that those sleeping Moors that we have in our clan lines, mothers, grandmothers, heirs, consorts, cousins, they'll be able to do what they need to do, and until they come into the knowledge of who we are. Okay. That's why the United States Corporation Company is the beneficiary. And again, we govern that. The United States Corporation Company, a living corporate entity and ends ligas creation for, by, and in the state. And the state is us. And to use and to take any lawful and or commercial or civil means necessary to recover by legal or commercial process or otherwise, and to execute and deliver or receive a satisfaction, a full remedy, or release therefore, together with the right and power to settle and or discharge any sum or initiate any administrative or ministerial claim or make demands. Number 2, to activate, open or otherwise, any and all accounts, checking or otherwise, and to discharge any fines, fees, taxes, and debts via adjustment or set off according to 12 U.S.C. 95A, Article 2, Federal Rules for Civil Procedure, Title 4, Section 18, and the 14th Amendment to the Constitution for the United States. The 14th Amendment, Moors, is for the corporations, not the living heirs. And so in order for us to speak to the corporations, that's where that came in at. We were never supposed to be corporations like that. We're not being corporations, we govern corporations. That's what this is doing. That's what this is saying. To create, amend, replicate, deny, void ab initio, abolish, supplement, and or terminate any trust or otherwise created by the government and ratified or exercised in any manner by any other state. In other words, no other state can speak into our state unless we say so. To command, retrieve, file, hand down, rescind, or otherwise any papers on behalf of the beneficiary for any matter whatsoever, whether commercial, judicial, ministerial, administrative, or otherwise, and to sign the legal corporate name of the beneficiary for the beneficiary for any reason, and to execute and deliver the same for any redress, remedy, claim, suit, or otherwise. Okay, and we've already been doing all of that. This is merely stating what we've already been doing. The authority herein shall include such incidental actions as are reasonably required to state, express, and perform the specific authorities granted herein. And those are, authorities stated is a better word because we've granted ourselves everything we need. Attorney, in fact, agrees to accept this appointment according to the terms and agrees to state by action said fiduciary capacity in the best interest of the beneficiary at all times. Now for then, Moors, keep in mind your beneficiaries too. This power for attorney is effective upon execution and as intended. Signed this 9th day of October, 2022. And then we put an acceptance, appointment acceptance. The appointment acceptance is, it states, I, Pauline Denise Ritchie, as stated above, do hereby accept this appointment in accordance with this instrument. And then fiduciary trustee signature, fiduciary trustee print, and we print it there, let me put that. And then national affidavit and receipt attached. So this right here, national affidavit and receipt attached, these documents go with our fiduciary affidavit on Moorish government letterhead. Is our fiduciary affidavit is on Moorish government letterhead. That's going to speak to the Jesuits, etc., or those that we thought were Jesuits. That's going to speak that language. And then this is going to speak to the custodian, the former custodians previously doing business, previously in the office of car dealerships or automobile dealerships, domiciles, real estate, etc. Okay.
Islam.
Because
as you were reading this, right, I was just thinking, coupled with the previous document stated, this literally obliterates, destroys, demolishes, puts back where it came from, any and all preceding fictitious trusts. And I'm talking the corporate fiction, doing business as a trust, because it was a trust, and any and all persons who've established trusts like the Rockefellers and all those ones who were doing business here. It obliterates all of this because we now state and speak to our sovereign trust. The only thing I haven't noticed is the language concerning treaty trusts law in these documents.
It's in there. Where we said foreign or domestic.
Okay.
Because the foreigners they do commerce, so it's in the Articles of Incorporation. And in fact, I can pull that back up. Let me pull it back up so we can see that there. It's right on the screen too. Right here, these are the Articles of Incorporation on the screen right here that we just put up. Let me make sure it's showing. Is it showing on the screen, Empress?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay. Look here at right in this section right here.
Okay.
It says the business for the corporation is from time to time to do any one or more of the actions and things herein set forth, and she, the United States Corporation Company, may conduct business at Washington State, other states, Washington District for Columbia, the territories and colonies of or for the United States, and at foreign countries, nations, waters, and lands. There it is.
Can we be just more specific and put treaty/trusts or just treaties, ancient treaties, or something of that language?
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. Islam. Lands. Let's see.
I have a question.
Where, Empress, what treaty would you want that to go? We could put it up here where we're saying to originate, generate, prepare, and procure. That thing where we're saying letters, patent, charters. We could put treaties after the word charters.
Okay.
And those would be corporate treaties with those who are Bureau for Indian Affairs people.
Okay.
Because the United States Corporation Company did do some things with them, but those are corporate treaties. That's why they moved them straight back into citizen status or subject status immediately. Okay. Will that suffice, Empress and Moors?
Yes, gratitude.
Islam. Thank you for that.
Islam. One more thing. Are these going to be for us to use as far as a link, or we have to recreate them ourselves?
You will need to do them yourselves. I will put the language under here so you can copy and paste it. The actual documents themselves, the only way I would get them under there is to go ahead and autograph them and put them out there. I'm not putting unsigned corporation documents out there. So the language, though, I will put under this video so you can copy and paste the language right on into your document, and that way it works for you.
Islam.
Gratitude.
Islam Empress, I have a question.
Yes, Islam Empress.
This is Nabi. I wanted to find out, this actually lists tariffs as well, doesn't it?
It does. When you're talking about other instruments.
Okay.
It's talking about tariffs. It's talking about, that's why it says domestic and foreign. It also says domestic and foreign right here too.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yep, we got them, Empress. That's good thinking. You're thinking. That's awesome. Thank you for being another set of eyes on this, by the way, more so that we can, that's why we present it, because and we're, another set, more, as many sovereign eyes as possible is actually just, that's what we need. That's how we help each other and keep everything where it should be. So let's see. Now we've gone through the power for attorney, okay, and then we also have a one other document, because we can and because we should. And Empress Rose, Spirit Bay, does this answer? Because see, this is where the issuing of birth certificates that are living birth certificates to go with our sovereign birth affidavits, this is where that comes in at. This is how you use that. And that's why we are going to replicate the birth certificate. Mine is going to look exactly like the one they issue. We can't use anything they issue, though. Now, some feel okay doing that. I know that it's easy for that to trip the switch of a see, the temples were supposed to be issuing the stuff, not the United States Corporation Company, which told me that we're supposed to be issuing it. And now that I'm seeing how quickly the documents work when we issue them, I know now that we should have been issuing our own stuff, and a corpse never should have. Corpses and subjects and citizens never should have been issuing anything. That's why we don't use their form. We need to replicate. Because
okay, Islam. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This does help, because I feel like we do need something that is like, this is who you are now. To point to. So this does help. I still, have the question regarding what we can do, because I know when you mentioned when you were doing the conveyance demonstration that we would be listing out our liens and stuff like that. I just don't want there to be no confusion at their end, like that we're not referencing back to the dead. So I'm like,
your power of attorney will show that.
Okay.
This will show that. So this and your fiduciary document should go together with your whatever exchanges you're doing, because you're also going to be using lawful money, and that's another reason why we had to do our own everything.
Okay. Sounds good.
Because your liens are lawful money. And your liens are also the reason why the dead one is bankrupt. So one last document here that I want to put on the public record so that we can take a look at it, because this document goes with these as well. And this stuff can all be, now let me say this about your birth certificates that you create. Anything that we create from this perspective, they don't get originals of it. We don't give originals to the subjects. They cannot have original of our birth certificate and stuff. We don't have originals of theirs. And so the birth certificates that we create from us, we don't give that to the subjects. Just like you wouldn't give, when we were in our sleep, they would say, keep your birth certificate, make copies of it, but keep it with you. Don't give it to anybody. Don't lose it. Don't do anything. We do the same with ours. The ones that we create, we're going to keep them. Okay? You don't give them to anybody. And I'll show you in the law where that applies. Okay? In fact, let me go ahead and show you where that applies before we go to this document, because that question came up a couple of times. Let me see. Here it is right here. 9-314 says perfection by control. And it's talking about electronic chattel paper and all of that, letter of credit rights, et cetera, deposit accounts and things like that. And it's talking about the security interest and how it is perfected by who controls it. And we went over this the last time. But here it says, this is, just one moment. It says, if you look at C is talking about the papers and documents in B and A as well. Well, let's just go ahead and read up here. Perfection by control. It says here, a security interest in investment property, deposit accounts, letter of credit rights, or electronic chattel paper may be perfected by control of the collateral under Section 9-104, 9105, 9106, and 107. Specified collateral, that means specific collateral. Time of perfection by control, continuation of perfection. A security interest in deposit accounts, electronic chattel paper, or letter of credit rights is perfected by control under Section 9104, 105, and 107 when the secured party obtains control and remains perfected by control only while the secured party retains control. That means you keep it. Investment property, time of perfection by control, continuation of perfection. A security interest in investment property is perfected by control under Section 9106 from the time the secured party obtains control and remains perfected by control until the secured party does not have control. And one of the following occurs. If the collateral is a certificated security, the debtor has or acquires possession of the security certificate. See, what happened is the United States Corporation Company, the dead one, obtained possession of birth certificates. That means that control by the secured party was lost to the debtor. And bada bing, you know what happened after that, as the Italians say. If the collateral is an uncertificated security, the issuer has registered or registers the debtor as the registered owner. So we would have actually had to say they're the registered owner. Well, every time we thought we were registering for something, we were really giving them control over whatever it is we obtained. So when you registered for school, you were giving them control over all the papers, all the documents, and the child. Because they're dead. The debtors are dead. And anything that you give them, first of all that they produce is dead, and then anything you give them, it's like, don't do it. So again, we notify, and that's why when we notified, we sent things out all over the place on Moorish government letterhead. Okay? And they can't do anything with that. They're in subject status there. Okay? They're in subject status here. This is why at least one affidavit should go with these documents. And then it says here, if the collateral is a security entitlement, the debtor is or becomes the entitlement holder. All it is paper. So we send this stuff out and we send out an affidavit that states who we really are. That's perfection by control. And the reason that they don't put the things that we say in the computer is because we've already done it. And when we put it in the computer and put it on public record, then it's our chattel paper. Our chattel paper, not yours. And then you keep your birth certificate that you create with you. and your heirs and all of that. And then you send a copy. You can send as many copies as you want to send out to let them know that it's not their chattel paper. Okay.
Islam, that answers my question about, because it's the security interest. Because it's clicking now. We did state it before regarding, because all the paper we got was their security interest, right?
Yeah.
And so, so now it's our security interest. Because I'm working on, the lease, recreating and the lease and everything, and I was just trying to figure out that part. Because I'm like, okay, but I'm saying that's not me. So, but now I can say this is me, the creditor, and the beneficiary, and then I'm drawing out I'm paid to the order to me, the beneficiary for the credit. So now the only thing that I'm still trying to get is the double ledger side of it and how to really make that work if you're with the management company, if you're the authorized owner, but you're also the beneficiary as well. So, yeah.
Let me tell you how that works. The lease and any monthly statements or anything that they sent, you replicate it as a receipt and a credit.
Mm-hmm.
That's the double ledger. You're balancing the books when you do that.
Okay, that's good. Okay,
but see, the fiduciary and the attorney in fact and the trustee, these documents are what speaks the language of the head and not the tail.
Yes, that's a good. That actually quote came up in I was just thinking, so that's a theme. Yes, and even so I see the double ledger in accounting. I'm just thinking about, is it double credits? You know what I mean? So is there a subtraction there, or like how do we reflect that?
Let me tell
you. Credit?
Okay, let me tell you how it's a double credit. It's a double credit because you're taking in the rents.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so not only are you sending back and saying this is a credit, but you're on the other end, on the back end over there, receiving what you've already sent in. Because you're the head of the rental as well.
Exactly. So now I'm trying to figure out. Okay, should I ask the subjects to send a check for both, or how does that, or does that stay with the account? With the company. That's the part I'm like, okay.
Okay. It's accounting. It's on the books. It goes on the books.
Okay.
Because they don't have any lawful money yet. We're getting to that. They don't have any lawful money to give you yet.
Okay. So they'll just send me the rental credits as a beneficiary.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sending it to myself basically.
Yeah, but they're gonna do the documentation. Yeah.
Okay.
The statement.
Okay, got it.
So now they're custodians in the office of. They're in your office.
Yes.
Okay. So now that takes care of people feeling like they have to pay quote unquote rent every month. Okay. So now, or car payments or anything like that. Okay. So now, when you're talking about Moore's Delarium and actually getting credits in that you can use for whatever you want to use it for. Again, where Delarium is concerned, let me read to you what the ancestors gave me after we go over this receipt for power for attorney. This is a declaration state. This is that the last document, the final document. This says financial institution is the United States Corporation Company. The date is October the 9th, 2022, and you can put whatever date you choose there. The account number is all accounts. So whenever you're putting out power for attorney and fiduciary documents and trustee documents, it's always going to say, there's always going to be a place for which account are you talking about? We're talking about all accounts in all capital letters, all of them. It says, I, Pauline Ritchie, being the lawful fiduciary for the beneficiary, United States Corporation Company, do hereby state that the attached hereto is a true and correct original power for attorney and fiduciary trustee for the beneficiary, United States Corporation Company. I further state that this statement and receipt is effective and supersedes all previous statements. This statement and receipt does hereby induce the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation to deposit the insurance covering the above referenced account to the full extent that the account is covered by insurance. This statement and receipt is hereby executed in alignment with the supreme law for the land and all laws created by the state in alignment with the supreme law for the land. In honor by our sovereign hand, fiduciary, attorney in fact, autograph. Date, autograph, and it actually should say signature because it is a signature. And we're signing here for the United States Corporation Company. This is how you're receiving whatever you're receiving. No personal or private information shall be taken for public use without just compensation. That's from the Fifth Amendment. So what you're doing here is stating that any accounts, no matter what the accounts are, the credits are coming to the beneficiary, which is all of us, and all of our tools, which is the all caps, and we control it, we govern it. Okay, that's what this is saying. All accounts, and more, I would encourage you to put all accounts simply because all accounts is going to help you assist your heirs, your and other Moors who don't know their Moors, and each other, and all of the above. See, when we make all of us, when we lock arms and say, whatever is good for me is good for them too, and whatever is good for them is good for me, and we are one. When we do that, no one can say no to the Moors. Okay? So now,
Islam,
one
was this
last
the document you did to go with the FDIC and the NAUC document? Was this it?
That was one of them. That was one of them, yeah. I didn't do this United States part. I didn't do that part. And the reason I didn't do that part was because I wanted to present it first and then do it.
Yes, Mom, because, honey, I already sent like 6 of them out with the accounts and things, and I created my own cover sheet. It was similar to the energy that you had stated just now. But yeah.
You're good. Empress, listen, everything that we have done since the very beginning of all of this is still good. It's all good. It's all good because no one can tell us no. And now that we are manifesting on all different levels and in all different ways, it's just more. It's just more.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me say this final statement that I want to make regarding, because I said I was going to make this statement after the presentment. Here's the statement. Further clarification on the initial, this is the beginning use for Delarium fiduciary money and the payment process. Okay? Take this as just an initial. It's going to be an initial, and then it will manifest all the way around. Okay? In this initialization, because we're initializing the new money system, in this initialization for the new money system, a movement of bank credit shall accompany the use of Delarium and fiduciary money. When the actual movement of bank credits happens, it is between the two parties, whether it be lender or borrower, whether it be creditor or debtor, creditor and debtor, whether it be seller and buyer, etc. However, the physical dolarium and or fiduciary money is exchanged at the time that the acceptance of the offer or agreement or contract is made. Fiduciary money and dolarium are settlement instruments as well as futures instruments. The autograph on the dolarium and the date of the exchange on the contract are a guarantee of payment or settlement as agreed or accepted with the date of the movement of the bank credit stated therein. Said autograph is also a reminder to move the bank credits. Those using these instruments can get whatever they choose. However, the bank credits must follow the exchange, whether it comes from the public funds or the private funds of those who are doing the exchange. The natural resources in our incorporation affidavit back the public exchanges, such as compensation, salaries, equipment, whatever public stuff is needed for the public workers, etc. Private contracting between parties is between those parties and their own resources, etc., and is separate from public exchanges. We're the government. We work for the public. We're public servants, all of us. There are some who are doing things privately, and we get that because they don't know how they're going to get a salary from what they're doing. We're providing the way for everyone to get a salary or a compensation for what you're doing. We can each and all do that. Even 1 ounce of gold, one little speck of gold is worth more than all of the chattel paper that the United States Corporation Company, the dead one, put on the public record. So all you need is one to go on to your documents. Just one something. Go get a computer, a cell phone, an old one, an old ring, an old something that has gold, and put that in your document. Okay? So please note that this is just the initial phase of our money system, and that at the appointed time, our banking system and the money will synchronize. So if I were to give it from this day forward, even, if I were to give anyone dolarium that I autographed, there's going to be a movement of banking credits. There's going to be a movement of banking credits. Either it's going to be banking credits moving, or it's going to be gold moving, or it's going to be silver, or it's going to be, what else? Or it's going to be something moving so that not only are they getting the paper instrument, okay, as a reminder for the movement to happen, along with an agreement, a contract, a consent decree. And when I say consent decrees, that's where, foreigners are concerned, or something, or either they're going to get my energy. Okay, so again, right now, as it stands, where the public is concerned, because see, we can take care of way more people when we do these types of actions by the movement of dolarium and fiduciary money, by stating that they are settlement instruments and futures instruments. So there will be a movement of banking credits, especially where public things are concerned. Public transportation, public, anything that has to do with the public. Okay, because we're also the public beneficiaries as well. Not only are we the fiduciaries and all that. And the truth of that is presented by the model that we've been looking at. That funny mirror that we've been looking at. Okay. So, and let me, I wanted to provide just a couple of other things that we've done in the past that do affirm our, that we're the fiduciaries. And again, because I am a fiduciary, all Moors are fiduciaries. Okay? This is some further proof. And let me say this about that. This came from the inferior court here, and they paid for postage on here. That means that they know for sure we're the government. They know that because we don't pay for postage. We send our stuff out. The things that we've sent them, we don't pay for postage. Okay. Another thing, and then as fiduciaries, we've taken control of all letters, all numbers, all sounds, everything on our fiduciary documents. Additionally, here is another document that we put on the public record. This is our red fiduciary document, and it is stamped by, here in red and blue, Thurston County Clerk, quote unquote. And again, that's the office of, that's our office. Also, King County Superior Court, again, the inferior courts, they are under our jurisdiction. And I think that's it right here for that. And then also, when we spoke initially about, let's see, about giving them back their person, this is what we received when we gave them back their person. And then they said, okay, they took their person into their inventory. And this is that inventory list that we got. And if you'll notice, on this inventory list, there's no one is pretending to be anything they're not, because they signed it in blue, and there's no stamp and seal as if this is some lawful decree coming from a higher up. Okay, they took their person back into their inventory. Okay, and this is the list of things that we sent, and they said, okay, we'll take this into our inventory, and then what we're going to do is send all of the actual documents back to her. And they sent everything back. Okay, this is proof right here, a 22-page document titled Statement of Noble Title and Probate Render of Fraudulent War Documents, Debt, Personal Effects, etc. Okay, so all of that, that's their stuff. That doesn't have anything to do with us and the living. With that being said, are there any other questions or comments with regard to what we have done here and placed on the public record as the law for the land? Any questions? And anyone feeling uncomfortable at all? I don't know what's going on there. Is someone saying something? Because it's actually really.
So fucking hilarious.
Oh, okay. I guess not. Let's see.
May you be well.
Anyone else?
Oh, so you can keep us laughing.
Anyone else? Anyone else?
Islam,
nobility.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I was thinking, how do you feel about submitting a copy of the live birth certificate to the Department of Commerce, as well as the Vital Statistics Office where they originated the dead birth certificate of the Moor or Moors?
The birth certificate that I replicate and originate, really, the one that looks like the one that they issue, it's not on our letterhead. It's in that form, but it will accompany our letterhead. I think that's brilliant. I think we should do that.
Great.
With a copy, not the original, a copy.
Exactly. I mentioned copy, yes.
Yes. Oh, yes, you did say that. I wanted to make it clear to those who hear this. I know you know, but I want to make it clear. Never, ever, ever give that one that you create, don't give it to anyone. You make copies and send copies, but don't give it to anyone. Because you must control your own chattel paper, because that's chattel paper. And that way, when you do that, and Justice Azim, can you expand just briefly on what that will do? Because some don't know what's been being done and what that will do.
Basically, what it would do would let the fake departments, as I mentioned, the Commerce Department as well as the so-called Vital Statistics Office, know that you are controlling that document. You are the true owner of that document. Mm-hmm. So it's basically putting them in a position where they have to cease and desist.
Yeah.
Because the existing document which they have on file, which is the dead birth certificate, if you really get a chance to see it, which they will never, ever let you see that dead birth certificate, because that is generating money around the globe. You are so wealthy till you have no idea. Because on the reverse side of that dead birth certificate is showing real documentation of transactions being exchanged from one end of the globe to the other. This is on a daily basis. Every second, those documents are being transferred, and you are the true beneficiary of every dime. And
what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Just one moment, please. Just a moment, please.
Okay.
Justice Azim, have you finished? I want to make sure I don't interrupt what you're saying.
Yes, I have finished. Islam.
So what I was going to say in response to that is the GMEI utility website, where everyone was using all of this stuff and all of that kind of thing. When we create our own birth certificate to go with our living birth affidavit, and we send that, now we become the receiver and the creditor of all of that.
Yes.
That's why the prophet said what he said about you're just plain rich. I'm not going to say children, because we're not children anymore. Islam nobility. There was a noble who was going to speak.
Islam.
Nobility. Yes.
The best thing is also a bond. And when it's created and your mom signed it, she actually activates the right for the bond to be active. And that bond is worth 100 million. And as the guy was saying before, it's been trading all over the stock market as a stock, agriculture. Yeah. And when we look on certain websites, trading sites, we can see our name and our birth certificate being traded. As we need to listen to the birth certificate, because of the straw man, it's actually commerce that they are doing. It has nothing to do with birth, but it's just literally commerce. That's where they make their money, in the corporation.
And now that is finished, now that part is done, we can make that be what it should be.
Right.
And be the predators that we really are.
Yeah. So
that's why we replicate that. We don't need to authenticate something dead. Some feel like they want to do that. Okay, we can't tell sovereigns what to do. We're going to replicate, because anything that their hands touch, I'm seeing that where replication happens, it makes things happen a lot quicker.
You can put it in red because red's blood, and if you're living, instead of putting using black ink for their language.
I'm not going to put it in red. I'm not going to put it in red. Mine is going to look just like what they did, except it's going to have my stamp and seals and stuff on it.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. Because again, those are commercial documents, so they don't need to be in red.
Okay.
Red is speaking into the spirit realm, the metaphysical, and also making sure that the prince of the power of the air is actually the prince for the power for the air, which is us.
Okay.
That's speaking, that's putting the right one over the earth.
Okay.
Yeah. Islam. Even in the Biblios Heliotext, it talked about how Lucifer was over the earth. Well, we're over the earth. Okay? Not anyone who's not us.
Islam,
Empress.
Well, not mine. The fraudulent instruments that they created in the UK is actually red.
Really?
Yeah. The writing is black, but the actual form, it's got lines and the seal, and it's all red.
So then, for those who have those, I would just say make the document look a lot like theirs. Ours is black with white words, with white letters and white.
It's interesting. My sons, which are...
Or vice versa, rather. Excuse me.
My sons, which are from Oregon, are, if I recall, they're sort of bluish black. They're bond paper with all of this designs. But I do believe the text is black, but the background is somewhat fancy. Bluish tinge. So it's interesting. I don't know how I'll replicate that, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
They will, actually. They'll have to do this.
Mine has a coat of arms in the background as a watermark. A coat of arms.
Might also represent the queen.
Yeah. So they're giving us hints on how to do ours. Yeah. So, we're the government, and the government is producing documents. So look at it that way, because see, some may not want to do all of this, but we're the government, and we have to produce our own documents for our state and our nation. We have to. But when you see what is available to us, again, keep in mind what we're stating about the delarium and the fiduciary money. That is how we're going to be doing business thus far, because again, it's our documents, those are our things, etc. So, with that being said, the amount of delarium or fiduciary money that we produce is tied to our documents here, and that's going to automatically make it gold backed or diamond backed, or natural diamonds, not lab created diamonds, natural this and natural that, sea salt, and so on and so forth. Whatever you can produce, or you can put your energy. You can put your energy as the, But I didn't want to put my energy, because my energy is mine to keep, But yeah, unless I want to get my energy goes here. I share my energy with my nation, but not for exchange. In terms of commerce, it's not for commerce. So yeah, and then if there are any more who don't have any, again, get an old cell phone or an old computer from, and all you need is one little piece out of there. I was able to get quite a bit out of there, quite a bit of gold out of there. All of these little things are gold. And let me just turn this light so you can see. All of that is gold. There's gold, and then some of it was brass. Like this was brass, But I was able to get And all you need is one little speck of that. One little speck. So, and then we have enough to share with everyone. We have enough to share. Because again, all it takes is one little bit, one little speck, and you done already beat out every United States corporation company, the dead one. You done beat out everything they ever did. Because you got gold-backed commerce and documents. Now, I wanted to show you all. Let me see, did I even put it on here? I thought I put it on here, but I must have fallen asleep before I had an opportunity to even, yeah, I did. I wanted to show you something that I just found interesting because I came across it as I was at the dealership the other day. Just something, let me see. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to pull it up so you can see it because it was just quite interesting. Where is that? This. So I was at the car dealership the other day and I saw something that I know it was the ancestors speaking, and just kind of showing me, just kind of something to take a look at. I'll put it on the screen. I wanted y'all to see this. I mean, this is just another something that makes you go, wow, they have known all along. So this is the, let me make sure you can see it. This is the emblem on a conveyance that I saw at the car dealership, at the Mercedes dealership. It was Mercedes, Porsche, Audi, the other day for a car, a conveyance called an Alfa Romeo. And some, you may have heard of it. I remember when I was very, very, very young, one of our neighbors had one. But do you see what's on the logo? What's there? What that is? If anyone could tell me what they see just so that I don't have to. Yes.
It's saying the queen, the alien, the dragon eating the people, which means natural people are being destroyed by England.
Or it could be us destroying some persons that,
Can we destroy the corporation of England? To keep bringing up, the dragon carrying the person in the mouth, for sure.
Yeah.
The dragon is eating, or the snake is eating the person.
Yeah.
And the sign of Santa Cross.
Yeah. Yeah.
The afterlife or no life are coming. It can be distraction are coming through. The follower of the false god.
So, yeah, Islam.
It looks like the medical symbol. I think for the U.S. That they stole from somewhere else, but I'm not sure. That symbol looks funny. It looks similar to like the medical, something to do with medical.
It does.
I think I've seen it before, but I could be wrong.
And then notice the colors.
Right, red and green.
Yeah. And that's why I said it could be us, because remember the story of Moses and how the king was throwing down, he had his magicians throwing down some snakes and some serpents and things like that, and Moses threw down his serpent, and his serpent ate the rest of them.
Oh, okay.
And Moses is an ancestor when the story is not anthropomorphically presented by the dead. So what that is the language. Does anyone know what that says? Because that is Latin or Italian, because it's an Italian-made conveyance. Or, well, it might not be with all the buying and selling that's been going on, but when they first started out, it was Italian. It means that is the crown on there. And that's also the same 3 stars that appear on Washington, D.C. flag. Alfa Romeo means first Rome. The first Rome, which is us. We were the first Rome. And then there was a hypothecation, just like we were the first Americans. And then we're the first Moors, but there's some Moor subjects ipso jure that were saying, well, we're Moors too. That says first Rome. And yeah. So however you choose to interpret that, but the crown is right there at the top. And those are our colors.
Yeah, it looks similar to the medical symbol. Like I think the medical symbol is like 2 serpents on a on like a staff.
Yeah.
So I heard years ago, and I don't know where I heard it from, but I heard that that medical symbol is something that another country stole from the U.S. stole from another country or something like that. But
they did.
I'm not sure. You're right. Right. They stole it from us. Maybe the Egyptians or something like that. But
that's us too.
Yeah, no.
So everywhere you turn, it's us everywhere.
Right, but that's exactly what it looks like. It's just the serpent is not on the staff. But it looks exactly like that, the medical symbol.
Yeah. So with that being said, I noticed so many other things while I was there. For example, and I'll just tell you really quickly, and then we can if there's no other wisdom, we can adjourn. But I wanted to really quickly state that the word Porsche, P-O-R-S-C-H-E, that's a conveyance. When I looked it up in the dictionary, it was spelled differently. It was spelled P-O-R-S-H-E, and it didn't have the C in it. And that means gate. It means the entryway or a gate. And gate means government, especially in the Biblios Heliotech. When the Bible talks about the gate, the straight is the gate, narrow is the way. That's government. So Porsche means government, and guess what? It's in red in all capital letters. And then I looked up the word Audi. Audi means audio, ear, hearing, and it's in red in the capitis diminutio minima. So they're saying, here, government, listen, government. That's what they're saying. So anyway, I mean, we cannot go anywhere without, I can't go anywhere without that type of stuff reaching out at me. I don't even see the world the same way that I saw it before. And the way I see it now is everything is in our favor. There's nothing that's not in our favor. All we have to do is get the processes together. And that's what we're doing here again, is putting the final macro process in place. So all that are in favor of the documents that we put on the public record, if you would please *6 and yay, or if not, say nay.
Yay, yay.
Islam.
Islam, yay.
Islam.
Islam.
Yeah.
Islam.
Real Spirit Bay, yay.
Islam.
Karima Bay. Sharif Bay, yay.
Islam. Angelica Yvette Dobbs Bay, yay.
Islam. Karima Bay, yay.
Chatali
Islam.
Khalifa territory, yay.
Islam. Kahusia Jehuti Ba in Wilayam Shu Il. Yay.
Islam.
Islam Shu El Klan Bay.
Bay. Yay.
Islam. Helen Crowder, Mississippi. Helen Crowder, L, Mississippi Territory. Yay.
Islam.
Islam. Azim Kambalani Bay, Khalifa Territory. Yay.
Islam.
Islam. Michael Dumwabegi Bay, Mississippi Territory.
Islam. And we see you in the chat. Go ahead, Nobility.
Islam, Musa Jubei, Memphis, Tennessee. Yay.
Islam.
Islam. Malik Akil Bay, Illinois Territories. Yay.
Islam. And I'll just go ahead, Nobility. Yes,
Rahim
go ahead.
Allah Bay, Jamaica, New York, Republic. Yay.
Islam.
Mutaz Raid Bay, Northwest of Mexico, New York, Monotashas Moors. Yay.
Islam.
Islam, Love Ibn Allah Bay, Morocco Consulate General. Yay.
Islam.
Islam, AG, Nabi, Chandra Bay, Mahad El, Texas Territory.
Islam Empress Nabi, could you state your choice again?
Yay.
Oh, okay, Islam. It kind of messed up a little bit at the end. And in the chat, Justice Varnia says yay. Justice Why Not? Prince Bay says yay. Justice Abdullah, let's see, Dawood Abdullah Bay, Squampomac Territory says yay. Justice Ezel Jameson, yay. Justice Malik Q, okay, we got his already. Justice Travis Bay, yay. Justice Messiah Bay, yay. I think that's all from the chat as well.
Islam.
Islam.
Carolyn Linda Wiggins, Alabama Republic, yay.
Islam. Thank you, Empress. Justice Light Tajiri Bay, also appellationed as Pauline Denise Ritchie, in Capitis Diminution Nolo, in red ink, in proprio persona sui, or in blue ink, in proprio persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio redes, yay. Islam. Did we miss anyone who would like to vote on the public record with regard to placing our incorporation papers on the public record? Islam. We have a unanimous vote of yay for the United States for America. Get ready to work because it's a lot of work. We got to collect taxes. We got to produce products. We have to produce money, print and mint, etc. More of that, and we got a lot of work to do. However, it's our vast estate, and we are so happy to do the work. So, with that being said, is there anything further from this high, intelligent, sovereign, ancient, awesome Congress?
Islam. Oh, real spirit. I just wanted to affirm our fiduciary money because I didn't completely get it at first, but with the dealings with the my domicile, my one, and so I've been working and meditating, and I had a dream. The person that was doing business as the authorized owner sent me a letter, and in the letter she sent fiduciary money, and it was it was basically the ancestors showing me how to do it, and she had like one of the letters she had painted in gold, and then she sent a coin with it. And so I think this is how these secret orders have been doing things. She sent a coin, and then over the coin she put a piece of paper, and the coin had the emblem an emblem on it. It looked like an eagle, but a lot of these corporation companies have their own emblems and stuff, so I don't know if it was the dead. Well, they're all the dead U.S., so, and then it said brethren on it.
Wow.
So, there was so many things that happened while I was staying there, so I wasn't surprised. I was like, okay, I knew it. I wasn't going crazy.
You were not, Empress. Yeah. You are highly accurate.
Right, yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing. They're showing themselves. Their white flags are up, so they're doing great.
And we've also been hearing that the inventory is backing way up, and they're absolutely ready for us to step forward and start, governing the resources. And so we're ready to do that. We just, again, it has to be competent. This needed to be done before and not before, because our ancestors' timing is perfect, and we know they have, everything that they did was reverse engineered. We're actually engineering from start to finish. But in the Biblios Heliotech, it says that we would speak, that we would know the beginning from the end. We would state the beginning, the end from the beginning, rather. We would state the end from the beginning. And that's what we've done. We stated the end from the very beginning. So this is another part of my demonstrations as well. So I'm demonstrating right along with everyone else in terms of conveyances and things like that. This needed to be done as well. So as I continue to study and have the ancestors speak about what to do next on all the things, we see we've got a whole lot to do, but we've also done a whole lot. We've already put the Constitution on the public record. We put the treaty on the public record. We've been governing. We have our courts. We have our money. We have a way for everyone to do commerce, which is both fiduciary money and dolarium, and liens and all of that. So let's keep going. We got this. With that being said, Islam, Empress.
And you were worried. We got a unanimous vote.
I was because I know that programming and that past system has traumatized Moors to a degree, and I know that the trauma was there to keep us from doing what we're doing now.
And that's been cleared. That energy, as we know, has been cleared. And it's continuously to be cleared.
Yes. That trauma energy has been cleared. I affirm Islam on the public record. With that being said, may your days be long. May your nights be gracious and romantic and full and abundant. May your heirs prosper. May you prosper. May all that you do manifest now. Islam. Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Islam.
Islam.
Peace and grand rising.
Islam.
Grand rising, more. Peace and love.
Peace and love. Peace and grand rising.
Islam. And we will disconnect in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Islam.